always wanted to be a lot like my parents, but it's a bit hard for me because my dad's a clown, and let me tell you, those are some tough shoes to fill. Do you know how hard it is growing up, not being invited to any birthday parties? Your dad is. My dad actually found out that my mum was cheating on him with all of her friends, with all of his friends. I mean, yeah, she thought that they just had all really big dicks. Can you blame them when you see the size of the shoes? Am I right? But he said he walked in and she was in the middle of a gangbang with all of them, and he said you'd be surprised the amount of clowns that can fit such a small space. But I'm trying to talk less about sex at the moment. Felt quite sexualised by my male friends. I'm not even sure if I have male friends, to be honest, or if I just load a load of men who are hopeful, you know? Like one day I could have one too many drinks. It could be them, it could be. I have actually never been raped. I like to make that clear. Apparently it's a vibe I give off, I don't know. In the defense of people who say that though, I do always also say yes. So, like maybe I have slept with a rapist. Like statistically, the numbers I've gone through, I have to have slept with a few, you know? It's give me this time, good day, you know? Maybe I'm a rapist's worst nightmare, aren't I? A whore. I've always felt quite inspired by women of the past, of history. I remember even as a little girl, my mum would say to me, you know, Rebecca, you're never gonna make the history books being so lazy, always sitting in that chair. I was like, has someone forgotten Rosa Parks, mother? I'd have to leave the sea again. I can make the history books. Yeah, I just feel like as women, we need to stop bringing up the suffragettes, you know? I think they're making us look bad. Like don't get me wrong, it's completely wrong that men thought we were too irrational for the vote, and I think it's so lovely that they wanted to go do the politicians or the polls. But what crazy bitch at that meeting was like, I'm getting everybody to vote. And they don't see I'm not crazy when I kill myself in front of a horse. And they were like, yeah, Lily, go ahead. It's feminism, that. I don't really know if I think I'm, not grateful for the women's rights movement. I am so grateful I'm not in a house having everything paid for me. Learning languages, doing art. Thank God. I get to wake up every day at 7 a.m. and work 40 hours a week for minimum wage. That is freedom, freedom, freedom. I just feel like, I mean, you know the suffragettes are sort of terrorists, right? You know this? I mean, they kidnap people, they commit arson, they blew things up. Then they're on the overground. And they're like, yeah, but Rebecca, they were fighting for their beliefs. And I agree with that. But then, where's the IRA line? They were fighting for their beliefs. I think what it is, I think the reason we see the IRA differently to the suffragettes is I think the IRA was just a lot better at it than the suffragettes. Sorry, am I wrong about that? No. I've been doing also a bit of reading recently. I've been trying to become more cultured. I learned why the Jews don't suck a dick with a foreskin on. It's because they don't eat meat and cheese in the same meal. I was doing some research, so I wanted to know what they're doing with all the leftover foreskin. You know, I didn't want to make sure they weren't wasting it. So. And I'm glad to report that they're actually using it on burn victims' faces. It's so lovely because now they have such soft skin, don't they? Yeah. But actually, there is one problem, and whenever they get too excited, it comes back. And that's where I get dumples come from, actually. So, yeah. I've also, do you know the Taliban has just released its own insurance? Yeah, which is actually, it's nice that it's surprisingly good for women, because no matter what, they make sure you're 100% covered.